What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Star Wars Black Series, The Child from The Mandalorian. And so here we have a closer look at the child, or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him. Before we have a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Baby Yoda, or the child, does come with 3 accessories. We do get the knob for the gear shift for the Razor Crest. We do get a little bowl with the bone broth, and then we also do get a little frog. Other than that, the child or Baby Yoda doesn't come with anything else, so let's actually move on to his details. And so here we do have a closer look at the child, and as you might have expected, he is really small. This is a really tiny figure, and I can actually get him all in frame right here, and he is just so tiny. So interesting to see it, but really do like that we did get a Baby Yoda for her collection. Having a look at the face, I think they did a really good job with the face. I do like the ears. They're nice, they're big, they're also soft, so you don't have to worry about them breaking. I think they did a good job with the eyes, although there's something about the likeness that they just didn't get right. But at the same time, it looks like the child, so you really can't argue anything that Hasbro did there. There's a lot of nice little details. You can see his little rosy cheeks. We do have some wash throughout his face. We do have like a dry brushing for his hair up here. The inside of his ears are like a pink or a peach color, and they did a good job with that. So overall, a lot of nice little details right here in his face, so I do appreciate Hasbro did that. You can see he is wearing the little robe, or I'm guessing it's a little robe that he wore throughout the entire series of The Mandalorian. You can see it does wrap around. I want to say it should be a hood. It looks like it can be a hood. Maybe it is a hood, but it's never shown if it truly is a hood or not. But they did a really good job sculpting it. You can see his little arms do have those really big sleeves on them, so that's really cool. I do like the sculpt work on it. There's a lot of little details on this that it has to have been 3D printed. I don't see Hasbro actually hand sculpting their molds anymore, so more than likely it's 3D printed. You can see the sleeves do have some wear on them. We do have some wear and tear right down here on the bottom of his little robe. You can see the middle of it is right here. It does flare out to the side just a little bit. And then we also do get his tiny little feet, which those are on ball pegs, so we do get some articulation there. It's not a lot, but it's something. So overall, I really do like the detail here on the child. They did a really good job for the price point that we're getting him at, so I really can't argue about that. So let's actually get a quick size comparison before we move on to his articulation. Here we have Baby Yoda posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Baby Yoda posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 collector Popeye the Sailor Man. And finally, here we do have Baby Yoda posed next to a Hasbro Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. So as you can see, Baby Yoda, or the child here, is a really small figure. He doesn't even come up to most figures' calves. As far as articulation goes, for what he is, they did put a decent amount of articulation in on him. He does have a ball joint in the head, which does let him look up about that far. I do wish he could have looked up a little bit more, but he can look down, so he does. So you can have him do the sad walk. Does tilt his head side to side. That works pretty good. Pretty good range of movement there. And of course it does rotate left and right. His arms are on ball joints, so they are a little bit easy to pull out, so do be aware of that. They don't really go out all that far. They do go all the way around. But because they're ball joints, they do have a tendency to go out at an angle. And if you try forcing them to go in, you will end up popping them off, like I just did. And they're pretty easy to put back in. You just gotta know where you're putting it. We do have a tiny little ball joint right here in the wrist, so his wrist does move up and down, in and out, as well as some rotation. And then we don't have anything else until we get to the feet, and his little feet are just on ball pegs, so those also do pop out and you can put those back in. They just mainly move forward and back, side to side, and they do rotate. Although he has a pretty good base here, so he stands on his own perfectly, so they really didn't need to include articulated feet, but they did. Other than that, there's really not much more articulation that this little guy has, so we really can't do much more. So with his articulation out of the way, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we do have the child pose for my final thoughts, and overall, I really do love how little this guy is. I don't know, there's something about Baby Yoda that I just love, and even though he's not the most dynamic action figure in the world, I still think he's a really nice addition to have in any collection. If you're a huge fan of The Mandalorian, which I am, I loved The Mandalorian, so of course when they announced that they were making a Baby Yoda for the Black Series, I knew I had to pick him out. Now, the only unfortunate thing is you can't really pose him holding his bone broth like he was in the show. His arms just don't allow for the range of motion. And unless they did a really soft goods with a tiny, tiny little skeleton, I really don't see how they would have pulled that off in figure form. He does hold the gear shift for the Razor's Crest in his hands nicely, but you kind of have to balance him in because he doesn't really grip onto anything. Of course, everything I have here, he is balancing the bone broth in his hands. So, again, there is some workarounds on how you have to get him to pose. Standing him is no problem, and he is a little bit small, and I do worry that some of these accessories will get lost at some point because of how tiny they are. Thankfully, Hasbro was kind enough to throw in a little acrylic base so that you can store all of them. But again, I wish that maybe we got an alternate head where he had an expression, but I'm perfectly fine with this little guy. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, go check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Star Wars Black Series videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, don't forget to check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.